across the entire Connecticut MLS, median days on market has jumped 30% this year, up to 13 days on market. And right now, 31% of active listings statewide have a price drop, averaging almost a 9% price cut statewide. Homes are sitting longer, and some sellers are chasing the market down. But look at this, right here in Hebron, days on market didn't move at all, still at 6 days on market, same as last year. In Colchester, days on market's actually down 14%. In Marlborough, it's down 17% to just 5 days on market. So if you own a home along the Route 2 corridor, specifically like Hebron, Marlborough, Colchester, the gap between what's happening statewide and what's happening on your street is exactly what you need to understand before you make major life decisions around buying and selling. Now, I've spent my whole life in real estate, 10 years managing custom home builds, 8 years working for the state of Connecticut and state government doing a lot of land zoning and land use regulation. And I've also spent the rest of my time in development and working as a realtor. I am data driven, I love numbers. And so when I look at why one town's holding up and the other one's slowing down, I do it by digging into the data and specifically supply and demand, not just freaking out over a headline. But here's a problem, and I do see this. When you see this headline and it says, Connecticut home prices are dropping, or there's more price cuts than last year, and it sounds like the entire state is falling or turning. But real estate in Connecticut, it doesn't move as one giant market, at least not right now. It's like 40 to 50 small markets, each with its own supply and demand, each with its own buyer pool, each with its own reasons of what's happening, and nobody tells you that. You just get told, be nervous, or everything's gonna be fine. No one tells you what's happening specific to your town or street. So we're gonna look at where the softening is, why it's not happening the same way right here in the Route 2 corridor. So first thing you need to understand though, price cuts and price drops, not the same thing. A price cut means a seller listed their house too high and had to come back down to the reality of the market. It's a correction, not a collapse. Price drops are when collectively median and average sale prices start dropping year over year. You can have a price cut and median sale prices still go up. It's when you see median prices go down year over year that you have price drops. Now, when we dive into the MLS data, it actually backs up what we are seeing in these corrections and where they're concentrated. So we're gonna go through a few charts here, and we're gonna look at starting with condos statewide versus single family homes. So if you look here, condo days on market have jumped up 40% this year to 14 days, while single family homes have only jumped up 20% to 12 days. Now let's look at inventory. Active condo listings up 9.6% this year on top of an 18% jump last year, but single family listings, they're barely moving, up less than 0.5%, which means condos are sitting on the market longer with more competing inventory piling up behind them. Now that's completely different than the single family market home in a low inventory town. Now we're also seeing price cuts in the high-end luxury market. So, and that makes sense because there's a lot of less buyers that are eligible to purchase a $1 million house, right? So when you see a $1.2 million house that sits for 90 days or a condo complex that has 10 units competing against each other, that's not the same story as a well-priced single family home in a rural town with a good school system. The second thing, and this one really matters, is we're gonna look at days on market because that number tells truth faster than a price cut. So when I look at the MLS data over the last 3 years, you can clearly see here on this chart. In 2024, median days on market for the MLS was 12. In Hebron, Marlborough, Colchester, they were all similar. Days on market was between 8 to 11. But by 2025, the entire market sped up. We were down to like 6 or 7 here and 10 for the market. But check this out. The entire MLS jumped back up this year, up to 13 days on market, a 30% increase, meaning the broader market is slowing down. Buyers are taking more time to decide, but Hebron held flat at 6 days. Colchester came down to 6 days. Marlborough came down to 5 days. While the rest of the state's cooling off, these 3 towns held steady or actually sped up. And that's not a coincidence. It's not marketing spin. It's what tight inventory in an acreage-driven rural character town does when there aren't that many homes coming to market in a given time frame. So there's just not a lot of competing inventory for sellers to have that standoff with buyers that are dragging out timelines. So that's why homes are selling fast. Now, the third piece is who's actually buying here. A bunch of buyers are looking to Hebron, Colchester, Marlborough, East Hampton right now. And a lot of those people have been priced out of Glastonbury or West Hartford, and they're pushing east along the Route 2 corridor to find more land with a lower price point without giving up the commute to Hartford, because more now people are working remote. So that's a buyer pool. It didn't really exist at the scale it does now a few years ago, and it is propping up demand in these towns, even while other parts of the state are cooling off. Now, it does not mean every home in these towns is immune. It means pricing strategy and presentation still matter enormously. I still see sellers in these towns overprice based on what their neighbor sold for or what Zillow says, and then they end up chasing the market down, creating the exact kind of price cut that you see in some other parts of the state. So these towns, they're structurally stronger and we're seeing less of it, but it doesn't mean that's an excuse for bad pricing. It doesn't mean you can price it at wherever you want. The last thing worth naming is that condition and presentation also matter more than they did back in 2021. Back then, buyers had no options, there were super low interest rates, and they were just buying up everything. Now, with higher interest rates and a modest increase in inventory, buyers are more selective. So a dated kitchen or a septic system that hasn't been looked at in 15 years, right? That's the kind of thing that can create a price cut, even if the market is still structurally solid. So those things are getting looked at now. So what does this mean if you're sitting on a home in Hebron, Andover, Marlborough, Colchester, along the Route 2 corridor? Know that you're not exempt from needing a real pricing strategy and presenting your house to show well. That is still important, even because we're competing against a small pool of buyers, even if it is selling fast. And this is the type of conversation that I have every week with homeowners in these towns, people that have equity, they've been in the house a while, and they just want to know what their options are, what their home could sell for, what it could look like getting it ready. Now, if anything in this video resonates with you, if you're sitting on top of equity in one of these towns, you want to know what your actual options look like, next best step is to book a free call with me. It's absolutely free. There's no sales pitch. There's no pressure. It's just a real conversation about your situation, right? What are your goals? What does the market look like? What does it look like getting your house ready to sell for maximum price? And what could your house sell for? Now, if that interests you, the link is in the description below. If you found this video helpful, please smash that like button. Share it with anyone you think would find this helpful. And thanks for watching.